I think we're live. Tells me we're live. All right. So today we're having a fun conversation. I thought it'd be really cool to just look at today's transit because when the eclipse happens on April 8th, it's going to be a very interesting. Um, it's going to be interesting. Let's just put it that way. Hey, Tim, how's it going? Katerina, hopefully you can hear me and we can hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah, but thank you.
Awesome. So Donald isn't making it today. I'm not sure if Rachel's going to be popping in or not, but here we are. So we have Erna and Sean and Tim and Katerina and Natalie, and we're going to play today in the transit field. So I'm going to share my screen, and then I just want you guys to riff. I want to play with this. I just want to see, are you guys noticing any of this in the field right now? And what I love, and I keep bringing you guys back to this, and this is something that is very near and dear to my heart, is that human design really teaches us how to make decisions so that these transits, when the eclipse comes, all of that kind of stuff, when this happens, that you're not pulled off your game. You're still centered, you're still able to be in center and make decisions from there. And then you get to use the transits versus the transits using you, if that makes sense. Okay. So I'm going to share my screen and we're just going to play. How does that sound with everybody? I think I'm going to share my screen. Present. So if you guys just want to go around and just maybe do a quick introduction of yourself and maybe your type, your profile, if that's correct for you, and if you want to share anything about your chart or your experience in design, and then we'll play with this transit. Rachel, may I invite you to just share a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Hi, everybody. My name is Rachel. I'm from Miami, Florida. I have been studying human design for, this is my second year now, and I've been a long time student and practitioner of astrology. Yeah, so I have a website. It's iheartastrology.net if anybody wants to get in touch with me. And I'm also excited to talk about these transits today.
Awesome. All right, who's next? Katerina?
Sure. I'm a sacral generator with a 2-4 profile, and I'm from Germany, so when I have an accent, that's coming from there. And I'm pretty excited. So, yeah.
Awesome. Love it. I'm glad you're here. Tim?
Hi guys, I'm Tim. I'm in the UK, a city called Derby. I'm a 6/2 emotional manifesting generator and I'm coming off the roof currently. So I'm excited to talk about the channel of initiation because it is one of my development channels in my Chiron return. And yeah, I feel it. I feel that sort of frequency, especially the transit at the moment. Yeah. So thank you.
Perfect. All right, Sean. Aw, you're Pooch. Hi, Pooch.
Oop, missed the mute button. Hey, I'm Sean. I'm a 3/5 pure manifesting generator quad left right angle across the Sphinx. And this is Willow, our new puppy. And we're in Saanich, BC, where the sun is not out today.
Awesome. Perfect. Erna.
Yes, hello everybody. Sorry, I have a little something with the throat, but I'm managing. I'm from the Netherlands. I'm in the human design experiment for a little over 5 years now, and also with the Gene Keys. That's my specialty. Also 5.5 years in with the Gene Keys. I'm a 4/6 emotional generator, with the right angle cross of contagion. So expect me to contaminate you with the G virus.
Love it. Fun. Natalie?
Hello, I'm a 6-2 emotional manifesting generator, left angle cross of refinement. I've been, I guess, on the integrated human design lived experiment where I really focus on following strategy and authority and sort of holding firm on that. Probably I've probably been on that journey since like 2019-ish, but my study has probably been a bit like loose and light across since that time and a little bit more intensive in the last 12 months or so. Yeah.
Awesome. Fun. All right, so let's play the game. Let's jump in and talk about the channel of initiation. So I'm just going to share just a few things that I recognize around it. And one of the things to know is it's a part of the centering circuit, and it's all about self-empowerment. And I look at this channel, this 5125, and I see this, fool that's jumping out of the tribe, and it's jumping into its own individual identity. So in the human design terminology, when we look at this in a large group setting, this is what we call competition. So in a WA configuration, this is where we see competition. And actually competition, what it will do is it will actually be the cheerleader for the 2145. Okay. It's like this. It's, and Erna, you might be able to play in this and share your experience of it, but it will cheerlead on the CEOs, the C-suite, the management team, because the more the management team goes out and educates and does its thing, then the channel competition can do its thing. And that is, compete and move the innovation forward for the company. So I'm going to open it up for you guys to riff off of this transit and play in this and share with our audience what you experience around it, what you've noticed around it. And let's just play. Whoever wants to jump in. Rachel, is that you? Where'd she go? Oh, she's not here anymore. All right. Erna, do you want to share what you experience having this in your particular chart?
Yeah, it's also about being first, this channel gates. And I've never got my head around that. But then in some moment, I found out that I've always done everything, every exam or whatever I did always in the first time I passed the exam. And that is something that I learned later on. And that's my the thing with this channel is also like the 51. I the gate of shock. So I like to shock people into some kind of new or different awareness. And also the 21, also very interesting. It is all about in the Gene Keys, it is all about the shadow is about control, and so I had to learn about that also, and I really feel this this channel at the moment and this activation, because it is calling me out to bring a little kind of different awareness to people's attention, and and also the 25 is active. Did I say that right? Yeah, 25 and sorry, and the 46, and those I have a lot of times in my human design profile, and it is all about universal love in the end, and seriousness in the 46, being in the body, and there's a lot of things going on that I'm experiencing with this activation. Yeah.
Nice. Awesome. whoever wants to jump in, this is open forum. You guys can just play.
And I said 21, but it's of course 25 in the
Yes.
channel.
Yeah.
I would love to jump in and play in the astrology of this, because I love to look at the dates and see the connections to the zodiac signs. And what is so fascinating about this channel is that it is almost a pure Aries channel. So gate 51 is an Aries gate, and gate 25 as well, although it begins in Pisces. And I love this because it's like we are in this gate 25, and we are in this universal love and this all and everything and nothing consciousness, like this stream of consciousness and this ocean where everything and everyone is just one, and out of that is this spark of life, which is Aries, and that just jumps into the experience. And that's so shocking, because if we think about how we are being born into existence, it's quite a shock. I mean, we are in the womb of our mothers, one with our mother, and then we kind of drop out of it and experience this separation and this shock of suddenly being on our own and being in this large world where before we were in this protected and dark place of our mother's womb. And that's so fascinating to me, and it's also so connected to this piece of that. To exist, we need to separate, and we need this pain and shock of separation in order to be alive and in order to be in this world. And that's so fascinating to me. And at the same time, what I experience with being shocked by people who have this gate is that when there is this shock and this pain of being separate or separated, and if I dive deeply into that pain, like I really feel the separation and what that does to the emotional system, for example, I get to touch, if I go deeply enough into it, this feeling of universal love and this feeling of being connected to all and everything and nothing at the same time. And it's so fascinating to me. And also, if we look at the I Ching elements, it's one of the 8 gates where the 2 trigrams have the same element. So it's thunder over thunder. And it's so loud, like it's so loud, like you can't not hear thunder roaring at the sky, like it's shaking your whole system up. And then there's this kind of lightning bolt of realizing something. And the opposite of that, like the programming partner is gate 57, which is wind over wind, and that's so gentle and so whispering and just saying, hey, just look at this from a different angle and just see what's there for you.
Beautiful. Yeah. And we, when we look at Ra's chart, he brought in the 51 and the 57 was his incarnation cross to really just bring it in and land this material in our cellular structure. Anybody else want to riff? Tim, what are you experiencing right now with this channel of initiation?
I'm finding that people from the corporate world are asking me about my work. I had another conversation with somebody today, quite in depth, and we booked an hour in next week for her to actually, look at design. But there's people speaking about, it's almost like they have a knowledge of the human design system, but don't speak it as human design. So for me, I just feel this pull to start introducing people, because obviously it's the break away from the tribal network, and the path of the corporate is part of that. So, and also this week I work for a large organization in the day, and I see the need for these type indicators, these sort of self-aware processes that could really assist the corporate. So I've made steps to actually introduce human design to a business of 11,000 employees. Because obviously in such a large environment, with my knowledge of human design, I do witness mechanics in people. And it's just something that I would really like to do, just to introduce the foundation aspect, and then, you know, just allow people that pull away if they needed to recognize their individual nature, to have that shock of awareness for themselves, and to step into that innocence and, you know, just offer them a different branch of what they're so used to in life. But yeah, it's a wonderful channel. I'm really enamored by it. But I'm definitely seeing it with people within the corporate world, for instance, that, you know, who are on that tribal stream, that maybe there's something more for them. So that's how I'm feeling it. And also for my future, you know, with it being a development channel with the Chiron, I'm here to share this work, and I'm here to awaken people to something different, something more, something greater than themselves, that universal love, the innocence of the gate 25. So that's how I'm seeing it through that lens at this stage.
Nice. Awesome. Sean or Natalie, do you guys want to share anything that you're noticing right now in the field around initiation?
Natalie, do you want to go ahead? Because I don't have anything to add right now.
I don't have too much really, but I mean, I suppose I'm in a new classroom, like physical in real life classroom with a new group of people, and we were just sitting, like basking in our own love and glory yesterday. Just like, we've only been in a class for about 5 weeks or something, so we're just sitting around going, this is an amazing class, we're all wonderful people, we all really care about things. Like, it was really like just this really sweet sort of nice place where people are, we're all just like getting along really well. It's just a nice group of people, and I guess maybe that's an experience of the transit, that everybody's just being really like supportive of each other's, you know, new like, you know, the new class and the new skills we're building, and that the potential of like what we'll do with these skills, and will we work together, and, you know, it's just all like that kind of rosy energy of something new. So yeah.
And what I'm hearing you say, Natalie, there is, it's like this deep acceptance for each person's creative expression inside that group, and everybody honoring that unique creative expression. Would that be
100%? Yeah. So someone was like, we should just, what if we got a house and we each just did a room in our own styles? Like, you know, it's just because it's interior design that we're doing. But yeah, and everybody's just so supportive of like the different styles and creativity, and yeah, it's nice.
Love it. Beautiful. Yeah, I'm noticing a few things just in the collective world when I jump onto some of the podcasts and YouTube videos and channels that I watch, is that there's this deeper awakening of recognizing that, you know, we are all individual. There is so much individuality in the world, and I'm watching how there is, quote unquote, less and less animosity around that, and more celebration of this uniqueness right now. I don't know if you guys are noticing that or not, but I am definitely noticing how that is taking place. Rachel, are you?
I'm totally noticing that, and I just.
Yes, go ahead, Katerina. Yep, go ahead.
Okay. Just 2 days ago, I had a phone call with a friend of mine, and it was about her having developed her own shamanic method, and that not being really successful. So she's a projector, and I was just asking her if she can really stand behind this or in front of this, and not just say this is a method that I developed, but this is a method that I developed. Like, it's about her. It's about her being the one that is bringing this into the world. And something that I'm really feeling right now is that so many people want to bring their gifts into the world, and then there's always this this doubt about, well, like the gate of doubt is active right now, and it's always this doubt of aren't there so many people already that do this? Like, what value can I bring into this? And it's just one's own individuality. Like, it's not about the method that we use, but it's about that we bring our own energy into this method and it becomes something completely unique. And that's a development that I really sense in the field, that it's getting less and less about methods and techniques and all those things, but it's more about who brings this into the world in their own kind of way.
Yeah. Agreed. Rachel?
So I've been having some connectivity issues. Sorry, I'm falling off and coming back. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. So talking about the channel of initiation, the 5125, correct?
Yes.
So I really love this channel. The people that I know that have it are all really interesting. And there's something about each of them that is totally not only unique, but they are a first of some kind, like in a big way, that is different from their tribe. They did something that was really expansive and new, and it brought like the whole family forward in a certain kind of way. And they do that like all the time in the people's lives that they're with. They are always doing that. I always think of initiation as being like that. To initiate is to begin. It's like, and it's appropriate that it's in Aries for sure, because that's all about beginnings. And this really youthful, full, like naive, brave, courageous attitude of that whole channel. And so I think that the 51 being shock and then the 25 being like innocence as a response to the shock, that is like allows one to survive the shock, is a really interesting dynamic. It's always been like something that's given me like a lot of like thought, because I have the 51 in my own design as my design sun, and also sun, Mars and Venus. So I have the 51 3 times in my design. And so I've given, you know, that whole like shock happens a lot of times, like, and I always use the example of having a baby as like a very normative shock that is also very connected to the 25 and the blood and the innocence and that whole thing. So and the last degree of Pisces and the first degrees of Aries, it's like the death of the individual woman that's a single entity, and then the birth of the baby and the mother. I always say that birth requires human sacrifice. The mother, the life of the yeah. So, but it's about how do you reorient after the shock happens in your life? Like, how do you, if it didn't kill you, how are you supposed to make it through and let it make you stronger? Like,
Did you pop off again, Rachel? And I would totally agree around like, how does it make you stronger, but how does it actually center you more so than pull you off in the centering circuit? What is the self-empowerment that can take place, or the disempowerment that can take place with shock? I think that's the aspect too that is fun to look at, is the duality of it. So Sean, is there anything coming up for you before we pop on to the Eclipse chart? Because I think that's going to be super fun to take a look at that.
Yeah, all sorts of stuff. So I'll see if I can compress it. One, I think we're in 25.3 right now, and the language in there is some of the strongest that I've seen, and even just an experience I had this morning with a friend. It's a tough energy going on with that. And I recently learned, you know, I'm quite smitten with Dr. Eleanor Haspel Portner. And it turns out that in my what's called my total integrated vehicle, I actually have the 2551, and it's a combination of the emotional world and spiritual world. And so that's still super new for me, and I'm still kind of trying it on for size. So for the most part, I'm just kind of listening, because I mean, I've been into human design for 3 years, and when I listen to you folks talk about it, and you can rattle off gates and channels, I just can't. I just kind of nod. And so the ones that I'm familiar with are the ones that I had before, and the new ones are like, oh, cool, new toys. And so I'm still kind of trying it on for size. But it's super empowering that way too. Like, it's kind of like, oh, cool, new power tools.
Right.
But yeah, so many things have been very interesting lately, and even just comments that people have made that I realized I was just listening to them. You know, that's my personality sun, and then there's always a little nugget that gets shared with me at the end. It's always worth it. And one of them yesterday was just someone reminding me that my unique content delivery style, because I have the things I want to say, is going to just have to be me riffing or talking. I'm not a planner. I by the time I plan something, I'm already bored and moved on from it. So yeah, they suggested just, going live on Facebook and working out, like watch me work or work out loud. And it's something that I've heard enough times that I think I'm just going to do it. And looking at some of the like even today's transit, kind of suggesting that even when things don't go as planned, learning from mistakes and not giving up, I'm just going to stick with it. I mean, my YouTube channel is called Just Shawning Around, and I keep thinking I need to be strategic, because that's what everyone else tells me. You need to beat the YouTube algorithm, and I keep thinking, fuck it, I'm just going to, if I feel like playing my drums and posting it, I'm going to do that. If I want to have a conversation like this, I'm going to do that, and just let people find me for that unique approach versus trying to mimic everyone else. So I don't know if that really even ties into 2551, but more just today's energy. That's what's speaking to me. So
yeah. And because we're familiar with your chart, there's a lot of integration. It's really in the moment, right? Any individual circuitry is in the moment. It's so it's not worried about the past. It's not stressing about the future. It's very right now. And really being able to demonstrate and present oneself in the now, and be okay if it's melancholic in the now, and be okay if it's really creative in the now, and not trying to force anything. That's the beauty of individuality and that integration and that centering. That's what I love about it. And today it's really sharing that with us, to say, like, be centered in your individuality. And I don't know if you guys have ever come across, I haven't come across any charts that don't have at least one gate of individuality, right? So we all hold that frequency inside of us. Awesome. Fun.
I think I would like to just comment on gate 51 as well, from my own perspective. I mean, 51 is my gate for Chiron. So that's where Chiron was in gate 51 when I was born. So that's where the return's going to be. And I would say, for me, I do witness a lot of shock throughout life. I've had near-death experience and, all of that. And I'm not as reactive as I used to be, as in, that emotionality, that wave that I can have. And I really feel into now, with the beauty of design and, the maturation of the being as well, is that things that would have once had me in a rage, I'm a fiery Leo, I can be a fiery Leo, things that would have once have had me in a rage, I observe it from a different perspective. So it's almost like I'm moving from that shock aspect of it and moving into the innocence of the line 6. And with every shock that I witness now, there is this pulling into something greater, because I can witness the cause of the shock or whoever's bringing the shock and see it for what it is. It's mechanics. And so there is that where other people or myself at one time would have reacted. there is that like an initiation into a higher way of being and an acceptance of the situation. And now I've got another level of reference of shock that I can sit from. So every time I witness a shock now, I can move to that other level, and I just keep going higher until I can just encompass it and just see it for what it is. So yeah, it's very interesting for me.
Excellent. Beautiful. So I'll just do a quick, go ahead. Yes, go ahead, Natalie.
I've been sitting here thinking about, it's a little like, I had a friend, I actually dated someone many years ago in my, that had radical cross of penetration. And like, there's a couple of other activations in there, but they had the 10, they had the 20 as well. And I'm 6'2", so, and I'm in my 40th year, so I'm in the middle of on the roof, and I think half of my recovery is actually from that cross of penetration. They also had the 6 as well, and they like an amazing person, super like amazing, but wow, they were a drummer, and I remember them actually saying like how they wanted to penetrate eardrums. They were a very loud drummer, and we played in a band together, and they would just hit, and we're like, whoa, can you just like dial it down? It's like, no, I want people to walk out of the room that they're so offended by how loud this is, and how like he was very like huge energy. And I guess it's really interesting having the human design perspective on these people years later, because yeah, just such a fascinating human, really interesting. And then the other thing was like, was the 51 active 12 hours ago? I had a friend who just had a car accident, which wasn't serious or anything, and no one's hurt, but it was one of those like shocking upheaval, potential to transform from handling the shock of the incident. So that actually did just happen. Yeah.
And it's been in Mercury for a bit. And then the North Node. So if we were to just, take this chart and really synthesize it, right? So you want to look at the initiation. So what is the initiation initiating us actually into on a day like today? So it's asking us to assimilate our direction. It's asking us to take that direction and look at it through the lens of like, where are we not allowing for surrender? Where are we letting crisis hold us back? Learning from our friends and family, where do they hold us back? So this channel is really initiating the body. It's initiating our intuition. It's initiating influential energies to come into our lives. And it's also initiating us to actually kind of be suspicious. Like, be suspicious of what are these patterns that we've been sold on in the collective that maybe we need to just take another look at. So when you guys are taking a look at the transits, just watch how, especially when there's a channel available in the transit, you just want to take a look and go, okay, how is this energy playing out in the collective, in the tribe? What's going on in the individual energy field? Because when you pull back and you begin to witness, now what happens is you then get to use your decision making on whether or not you're going to interact with that wisdom or not. That, I think, is the most important piece of human design. So I am going to now flip over to the eclipse that's going to happen on April 8th. So if you guys just take a look at the sun, earth, and the nodes, what do you notice? What do you notice? We're going to have a ton of very shocking energy being present, right? Rachel, have you had a chance to take a look at this eclipse energy for April 8th?
Yeah, I have. And it's interesting because so all the eclipses are, so it's at 51.5 that the sun is at, and so is the moon. So it's a new moon, it's a solar eclipse. So the sun and the moon are always at the same degree and the same placement on a solar eclipse. And the way that people, in my first astrology class that I ever took, my first astrology teacher told me that the difference between a solar eclipse, which is a new moon, and a lunar eclipse, which is a full moon, is a solar eclipse acts like an invitation that you can't refuse, which is funny thinking of the human design context of invitation. And it's a new beginning. And then the lunar eclipse is like a demand, and it's a full moon. So we're actually going to have, I think, an eclipse March 25th that is in Libra. That's technically at 5 degrees of Libra. That is also an eclipse. Eclipses always happen in a cycle of 3, so it'll be but this new moon that is in Aries on the 8th, and the one that's happening, that's the full moon on the 25th, in between now and then, are both a part of the same Saros cycle series, which is an eclipse family. And each one of the Saros cycles has repeats every in a cycle of, I think, so 2024 was the last, is this one. I'll read the Saros cycle if you want me to, like the little
Sure.
flavor of what this eclipse family is going to be like, because not all eclipses are the same by any means. They're going to be in a different place. So if I was going to look at the astrological placement of like how to interpret this, I would be like looking at where Aries falls in your chart and stuff like that. But for everybody, the flavor of this series of eclipses is from Saros series 8 North. The last time we had this was 2006, this same family of eclipse cycles. So it's 2024. I think it's 18 years or something. Do the math, but okay. So it says inventiveness and flashes, and I'm reading from Bernadette Brady's Predictive Astrology, which is an excellent book for eclipses, and she lists all the Saros cycles and a lot more too. Okay, so inventiveness and flashes of genius are the hallmark of this Saros series. The individual will have intuitive leaps, insights, good ideas, visions, or vivid dreams. The newfound inspiration will pull the person away from his or her social circle or relationship, thereby causing strain in the private life. This is a time when the person needs to be free, if only for a few weeks. So that's very individual energy also. And totally, like, I felt like when I read that, like right on with some of the human design aspects of this eclipse as well. I think that 51.5, the keyword for it is it's symmetry, and it's about like, so I feel like if people are undergoing, so sometimes with eclipses, major shocking things happen in people's life, no matter if shock is a part of the situation or not. Eclipses are situations where timelines can seem to like sort of shift. You can have major events in the life that like a new beginning of like a baby or a job or a move or any number of things, meeting a specific person. And that's why I say, like, look at the house that the eclipse falls in. And again, this book is excellent for giving delineations if people are interested in that kind of thing. But yeah, so intuitive insights, this is a very creative energy eclipse, and that channel of initiation being involved, I think that it's a good time to, if you have to take some time for yourself to recalibrate from any kind of shock that happens. You might end up having some sort of really awesome, like, silver lining benefit from it, is how I'm feeling. And also, if people in your life have to kind of like take some time, that's not necessarily the end of the world. And like, to honor this space of individuality a little bit right now for yourself and others, I think could be helpful.
Agreed. So here is the eclipse. I'm not sure why Genetic Matrix is showing us a different chart. But here is that April 8th showing that. Very interesting. Anybody else want to share? Katerina, anybody else want to talk about eclipses or feeling this energy?
I would love to share something because I looked into both eclipses and there was something very interesting that came to mind for me because the first eclipse, so the lunar eclipse on in March, is I think in gate 17. And so what I was thinking, let me get it. So it's like the story that kind of developed in my head is that there are some things that were already shocking because the nodes have been in gate 51 for a few weeks now. So this energy is already in the field, and there were a lot of shocking events. Like in Europe, there's a war happening, and I think it also depends on where Aries and Libra fall into the individual chart. So what Rachel said about the houses, I totally agree with that. And what's so interesting is that the moon is in gate 18 in the second line, and I read that line, and it's about terminal disease or anything that is spoiled that can't be repaired or it can't be corrected, because gate 18 is all about correction, and it's all about making things perfect or more beautiful that were kind of broken or rotten or anything like that. And in the second line, it's not repairable. Like it's not possible to actually repair this. So the feeling that I got is that we all experienced some kind of an event or something where we are about to realize, okay, this isn't going to come back. Like this, the answers that we had with this gate 63, which is very interesting because the eclipse, like the lunar eclipse, falls into Libra. Like that's where the moon is, and Libra is ruled by Venus, and Venus is in gate 63, and it's this holding on to answers or holding on to patterns that once worked but don't work anymore. And that's so connected to this whole realization that something is broken. And the interesting part of this is that the moon is in its detriment, and it doesn't realize this. Like it doesn't want to accept that this is gone and this opportunity is lost, or this relationship is lost, or this job is lost, or whatever we lost, it's not repairable. And we are in the process of understanding this. And I see this as kind of a preparation. Like if we let that go at the lunar eclipse, because that is the end of a cycle, then we can get into this initiation energy of the solar eclipse in April. Like that's what kind of came to mind for me.
Very good.
And the 18.2 is my Venus, so I want to play with this, and it's terminal disease, and I can recognize that it's allowing that, you know, coming to a place of understanding, having faith in spiritual regeneration, allowing the things that you may have perceived about self that you know were imperfect, but just accepting and having that faith that nothing can be changed but only spiritual regeneration. So yeah.
And one thing Ra always said about the second line is to recognize that second lines are here to, you know, really wait for what is it that needs to be quote unquote attacked with the immune system, right? It's always waiting. So very interesting. All right. Anybody else want to share anything, or do you want to just have an open dialogue and chat? If anybody in the that's viewing right now, if you guys want to ask us any kind of questions, that would be excellent. Anybody else want to share anything about the transits? If not, I'll take this off and we can just show our faces. All right. You want to share anything? Starting to be spring here. That's what I love. in Canada, while Natalie is flowing into fall and winter. Here in the Northern Hemisphere, we are going into spring and summer, so that's beautiful. So anybody want to share about like connecting with clients? So if there's anybody here that wants to watch this, just share your websites and just give a little bit about what your offers are. Let's do that. Anybody want to play in that? Natalie?
Yeah, so like I guess I have a few things, and I guess so. I'm trying like because I do work with other creatives really well, but okay, that makes it easier. Sorry, he was the cuddle was distracting. But yeah, it's not just creatives that I work with. I just find that I get in like it's just the response mechanism. So it's who comes along that we're responding to each other, or there's that that interaction between us. So there are lots of different, I just have a variety of clients, I guess is what I'm saying. Like I just did some readings for my friends' very young children who are like 2 years old, and it was really awesome to do that, to give just that really, really early stuff, because they're like, well, that how their story about how their child's interacting with their other kids, and she just sort of like raised something. And I was like, well, I'd love to, share some of that mechanic. So that's really, I think, there's a lot of us have an interest in kids, but I've got that gate 50, so it does make, I do love the kids. So that sort of stuff, but yeah, creative flow, anything that just helps people to get into their, their rhythm and their flow, and to be with more ease and grace, and kind of learn how to like really, I guess it's what we're all doing, how to be themselves, their most selves. But one thing that I haven't talked, well, we talked a little bit about, like I made a meditation, which I shared, that Living Waters ritual kind of meditation, but that's it. That is an offering on my website that I would actually do like a response kind of meditation for someone's chart. So if it was for their particular, I suppose I would do that based on getting the chart and having a look at what was popping out, and what maybe they were interested in doing. And then I would sink in and kind of do, what would you call it? I guess it's kind of like bespoke, just a special, like, particular energy matching audio track for them. So that was something that I was playing with for supporting sinking into people, especially with the deconditioning. So like there would be things in there about, what to let go of and what to let flow, and what to encourage, and just what to, how to almost like put on what they needed to put on to, like, I don't know, put their mechanical suit on. Something like that.
Yeah. Like that. I like that. Yeah, it's because we're such frequency based, everything is. It's, I think, a individualized meditation. I think that's fun. Love that. I love that you bring up the kids too. I did for friends. They had a grandson that was a manifester, and I did this like just a little kind of synopsis years ago. And she just reached out to me right now because they're just having their second grandchild, and she's like, I just re-listened to that, and she's like, I can't believe how bang on that is. So it's fun to really see how these little ones just do their thing, right? Without interference, when we don't interfere and we let them just be themselves, I think it's the most magical aspect of the whole thing of human design.
Yeah, and I think that's what those early kind of analysis readings can do. It's not trying to make them be anything. It's just trying to help to stand back, actually, and like in like what things to just let them go ahead and do. This child's another. I'm having a lot of right angle cross of explanations come at me. They're just like everywhere. So especially young people, but I'm having older people as well, as talking about that experience of the 23. It's 43, right? 23, 43.
Yep.
And just that experience of trying to translate the inner acoustic. So that's really, because that's a real interesting one, because people get very shut down, or stop trying if they're not encouraged. So that's really important. Anyway, thank you.
Love it. Fun. Awesome. Erna, Tim, Katarina, Sean, Rachel. Anything you guys want to share?
I have so many things I wish to accomplish with my business. I mean, I'm born under the left angle cross of industry too. So I'm designed to be busy and be industrious and diligent with my work, but I'm trying to bring everything into one container now, like look at the modalities that really are working. And I have a core 4 or 5 that I just want to create a package where I can take people on a journey. And because I'm born under 29.6, the commitment, I'm looking to work with people who are really committed to change, you know, not half-hearted. I find that I think I would find it difficult to work with people who are half-hearted, because in order to flourish in the beauty of what the design can promise, when you align to the mechanics, then I need somebody who's going to be committed, because once they commit to me, I will commit to them. And I've been like, that's historic, whoever I work with, I'm over committed sometimes. So yeah, there's a lot of ideas going off with me at the moment. I've closed one website down and I'm currently building another. So it's exciting for me. And just in regard to kids, what Natalie was saying, I'm working with a kid at the moment. I'm analysing a friend's child who's non-verbal, autistic, has several, you know, sensory things going on, and the chart is absolutely phenomenal. His conscious son is the 62.4, and the line is asceticism. And when you consider asceticism is the denial of a physical pleasure, and what's more pleasurable than conversation? You know, so there is this denial. And then when you follow the chart through, that every activation sings to this, the body's not ready to speak yet. And so then this little guy is a manifester, and it really excites me, because when we consider what's coming in the 2027 prophecy, you know, the rave children, maybe this guy needs to focus on the detail, because the earth is the gate 61, the inner truth. And maybe this guy just he's not ready to speak to this generation, but maybe he's going to be a guide for the future generations. You know, he's not ready on a genetic level to speak the language that we're here to hear. It's the future generations that he's going to impact. And he is a 4/6, so he's got 41 years of, you know, potential mutation going on inside. But the more I delve into the chart, the more excited I feel, because I'm going down every activation, and each one leads to this genetic disposition. Like the south node on the design side is the 3rd gate, which is difficulty at the beginning. One of the activations is looking at one of the line 6 activations. I can't think which one it is at the moment, is looking to the 15th gate, or I may be wrong there, but it's think before you speak. So all through the chart, there's so many things that are saying that take the time. I've looked at the Saturn return, so he's got the 60-second preponderance of the small. You know, this is all about speaking the detail, the pattern. And then you look at the Saturn return, and the 17th gate is in the background. So then we get the channel. And so it just seems to be that the more I go further forward in the future with the cycle charts, this just wonderful story keeps coming forth more and more. And it excites me so much to think that, you know, there's so many autistic kids in the world at the moment that, you know, just a human design analysis could satiate so many parents' worries and concerns and doubts about their child's future. And I can tell you it already has impacted his parents, where they're, I can potentially celebrate, this is his design, and he's not designed to speak yet, but the potential is there for him to speak in the future. And I know you know, there is talk about the rave children being telepathic, you know, non-verbal impact. What if it's all about that's where the potential of the future, the evolution of, you know, the consciousness field is taking us with these rave kids? Maybe language isn't required. But yeah, it absolutely fascinates me. Absolutely blows me away. I was so excited last night. I keep going back to his chart, and because I've got the 2034 on my unconscious sun and earth, and it just speaks. And I thought, right, I'm going to just speak into the mic and dictaphone this. An hour and a half later, and I thought I've been speaking about half an hour, and it's 90 minutes. I've got 90 minutes of me just talking, and yeah, it's a wonderful system, and it could answer so many questions for parents. Really could.
Yeah, I would agree. Yes, and the rave children. I'm doing a deep dive into that right now to help bring that into the mentorship, so that we can explore that a little deeper. One thing to recognize for sure is that there isn't going to be, like, not every child born after 2027 will have the mutation. It's going to be a very, very small fractal of children that will come in with this mutative energy. But you're right. It's some of the autism, some of the ADHD, some of the ADD that we see is, like, quote unquote, a precursor to this field of telepathy, where when they come together in pentas, our pentas right now as humans, and going forward past 2027, any human penta is still going to be unconscious. But the rave penta, when they come together, it will be conscious. It's going to be fully conscious. And as they come together in these pods of 3 to 5, they will be taken care of. It's going to be very fascinating to watch. Yeah. Anybody else want to share?
Yeah, I just love this whole thing that you started with the children, and what I see is that what it changed in my life is that when I started working with Gene Keys and with human design, I started to see how much things in my life changed because I changed. And that's the beauty of this. There's this saying, change the world and start with yourself. And that's so true, because we always try to change our children or our husband or whatever, or our partner. But the change always starts from inside. And that's the beauty of this whole system. You don't need anyone in a way to bring this change about. All you need is patience, kindness for yourself, self-love and gentleness. And that's, for me, this my whole family and my whole life changed because I changed. And that's what I help people do mostly with the Gene Keys, and I combine that with human design. I help people to see that they are innately already complete and whole, but we are so trained to live like someone who we are not, like from school and from our parents and from society, all the things that they said, you have to do this and you have to do that, get a good job and get married and whatever. And that's when people just get off track. And that's what I see. It's not only the children who benefit from this. And the earlier we get the parents to know the design of their children, it's so absolutely beautiful to see. With my kids also, it's like, I'm so happy that I learned this for myself and that I have such a big part of their lives. Yeah, my eldest son is 23 at the moment. The other one's turning 21. So I've been in this last period of adulthood with them, seeing the beauty and the qualities they have, instead of making them wrong for the things they are doing, but just acknowledging the qualities that they have. And by changing myself, the whole environment changes. And that's what I see a lot of people struggling with at the moment. It's depression and burnout and all those kinds of things that we are seeing in the world, in the workplace and in relationships and divorces and everything. It is all because we are so thinking that we are deeply flawed, and we are not. We are so wonderful. And when you can see that for yourself. And it's a slow process. Like in human design, they say it takes 7 years to bring this thing around. And but I'm in it like almost 5.5 years now, and I'm all like, where did the 5.5 years go? It's like, it's such a beautiful process, and I just get goosebumps when I say it, because that's the beauty of the human design and the gene keys and astrology and all those kinds of, in a way they're all coming from the same source, and we all take the part that we love to bring into our lives. But it's so deeply healing to see that you are so perfect already, when we see that the shadows and the low sides of the gates and the gene keys, they're just such a gift for transformation. And that's what I just love this so much. And so that's what I do. I make readings for people with the gene keys and combined with human design. I do introductory courses to bring people into the knowledge of the gene keys, how it works. I do workshops and trainings, and I'm doing a program right now, Keys to Freedom, to see where, and also combining that with feeling your emotions and the breath. And it's so beautiful to see people picking this up so quickly. They just allow themselves to slow down. And that's the big challenge that we all have in this fast-paced world at the moment. So,
Agreed. Thank you, Erna. One hint and tip I will just throw out as Erna was talking is, when you look at the nodes of the moon through your human design chart, know that that is the place where you are designed to fulfill your purpose. Okay? The nodes of the moon are not who you are, but it's where you be and who you see. And what I notice a lot of times, okay, including when I came into human design, is that most of the time we're trying to be our nodes. We're trying to be the path and the trajectory instead of being our truest version of us, the sun, earth, and all the activations, and using that trajectory to walk along. So when you're looking at your charts, take a look at the nodal configuration and recognize that's just a trajectory. It's not you, it's who you see. It's going to be like, who you bump into in your environment, who you see in your environment, but it isn't you. So use it as the path. And once that shift happens as well, exactly what you're talking about, Erna, this new cellular recognition that the environment changes because you weren't trying to be the tree. Now you can watch the tree, right? You can witness the tree. You can see the things instead of trying to be them. Beautiful. Anybody else want to share? Did Erna freeze or did I freeze?
I think Erna might have froze. Can I just comment on one of the comments that's in there?
Yes.
Christine wrote, so what of the elevation of the chart, the hero's journey, the alchemy there to move through? And I guess that's, for me, I'd been thinking of this I'm not even thinking, anyway, so that's my 23 doing a stumble. But like the shadow, the gift, and the city, that's what I'm trying to get to. The shadow, the gift, and the city in the gene keys, and even in human design, like it's that appreciation that the shadow gives us what we need to have the gift to get to the city, and that's the journey, that's the movement through it, to acknowledge, to love that shadow aspect, because it is the stepping stone, and that you don't even get rid of it necessarily. That's the mutation, that's the alchemy, that's what it just turns into the gift, but it's still there for a reason, because it continues to give us that calibration along that journey to get to the gift in the city. So that's that's why it's still perfect. It's perfect just the way it is. That it's folding in that shadow experience.
And very similar to what Katarina said, like when we're in the womb, it's dark in there, and actually everything is in the darkness. Everything births from the darkness. The universe births from the darkness. It's all there because it's all color. It's everything is there in the darkness. So when we take a look at that through that lens and recognize that we all come from that aspect, that space, and it's like this flow, right? We're going to bump into that shadow often because there's more learning, there's more wisdom to, our next elevation that we hit, and then all of a sudden there's more wisdom, so we bump into the shadow, and then we come up to the gift in the city, and each time there's more to share. Yeah.
If I may add on to the little guy's chart too, the only channel he has is the channel of openness. So we've got grace and we've got caution, standstill, again in the throat. And his moon is gate 22.5, which is the 22.2, which is charm school. So it's the ability to charm, in speech. And he does speak on occasion at the most inopportune moments. So I question the parents, and when he speaks, does he attract the attention? And I've seen videos of where everyone's so charmed by him singing happy birthday randomly. So even with that channel in the back as his main definition, then there is this caution before speaking. I'm not ready to speak yet. There's a standstill here. I will speak when I'm ready. So I just wanted to add that as just a bit more color to what I'm speaking about.
Beautiful. Love it. All right. Erna just threw in a comment that her internet had a little breakdown. So we're about an hour in. Anybody else? Do you guys want to share anything? Rachel, Sean in the background, Katarina, do you guys want to share anything? If not, I think we'll close today, but definitely open for, let's go till about quarter after. How about that? Rachel or Sean, Katarina, you guys have anything you want to share or talk about in your
There
experience?
are so many things that I want to comment on. I'm still in this autism conversation because I find this so interesting, and I can really relate to Daniel's comment about being able to communicate without words, and that's an experience that I had as well. So I had a very deep connection with someone, and we are both autistic, actually. And it was very interesting because we really had times where I woke up in the night and wrote a text and then showed it to her, and she said, it was basically her words that I was writing, and that was so fascinating. And this whole relationship is kind of the initiation into the work that I'm doing now. So this person has the gate of shock as her Venus, so EQ, and she really initiated me into wanting to work with couples that are in these really deep, intense, dark, but also so bright relationships, and where I see so much potential in this darkness that sometimes comes with love and all the pain and all the fear that love tends to bring up, because love is just transcendent and it just goes straight into the field where it hurts the most and brings up all the fear and all the pain and all those shadows. And over the past 2 years, I've really worked so deeply within myself with that, and gone into attachment trauma and nervous system regulation and emotional, all things emotions, because I have a completely open solar plexus. So that's my field of gathering wisdom. And I definitely did that. And I also have a lot of third lines. So I've gathered all this information about the dynamics that can happen between people that have anxious attachment or avoidant attachment. I've really looked so deeply into this, and also into the gifts that trauma can bring. Because if we look at the astrology, for example, we have the nodes and we have the karma, like the south node, and we develop from there, from the pain, into our dharma, which is the north node. And I've personally experienced this, how much love and opening and just freedom there is when we dive into those emotions that we normally run away from. And that's the work that I'm doing, basically. So couples work, also looking into human design, astrology, gene keys, and the combination. Combination of those. Like, that's the most interesting thing. So I always look at the interconnectedness of the systems that I'm using and trying to find the common thread. And that's what I'm weaving into the work that I'm doing with couples. And I have 2 programs that I want to launch at the moment, which are called Sacred Safe Spaces, because it's really about this fact that we can only love and we can only be in our purpose and our true selves if we feel safe. And that's the foundation. So nervous system regulation is always the foundation of everything, because that is our perception. And if we don't perceive our reality like it is, we can't actually be intimate and we can't love each other. It's not physically not possible. So that's fascinating to me, and that's the starting point. And then I bring in the sacredness and this feeling of life as magic and connection as magic and relationships as magic. So I have one container for couples, especially in Platonic and Neptunian and Uranian relationships. So those that sometimes feel the opposite of safe. And also a program where I want to dive deeply into the individual chart of the person I'm working with. And we really dive into the human design and the astrology and the gene keys and the connections between all of those charts. So I'd love to do that. And I also want to do in-person retreats, which absolutely, like, I did 2 of them already. And it's always like, all people after a retreat say, oh, I'm so exhausted, I need to clean off all that energy. And I'm like, oh, I'm just starting. Can we please continue with this? So that's something that I would really love to do, like a human design week or Pulse week. Or also, I would love to work with these triangle relationships where there is a couple and then there's a person coming in, and that's creating a whole different kind of energy field. And I like, that's just the stuff where no one dares to look at because it's so explosive and there's so much that. And I'm like, okay, let's dive straightly into this because it's just intense enough for me.
Right. Yeah. And you're bringing that mutation to that field. So love it. Beautiful. Thank you, Katarina. Awesome. Yes, I think that after the lockdowns, I guess, if you want to say that, I think people are just so craving in aura connection and retreats and that. And I think human design stands at the place where then you can look at it through the mechanics, and it doesn't have to be it's just an acceptance, right? So when we're all in these transauric fields and that kind of stuff, is just to watch the mechanics and get really, really aware of it, because that's where we're heading. That's where we're moving, is to this deep, deep, deep awareness and recognition. Yeah. Fun.
And I think what you say there, Leann, is exactly what I'm referencing about my feeling of that transcending the shock and witnessing the innocence. And, the more I witness in the world, the more I can love humanity and meet people where they're at, and meet people exactly where they're at. Even if they're the most destructive, shocking person, I can see that and think, well, there's an innocence in there somewhere, but there's also a not self pattern where decisions are being made, they're being led astray. What are their open centers? What's their decision making based on that not self pattern? So yeah, I think I agree with you what you're saying there.
Yeah. Sean or Rachel, do you have anything to share before we close up shop here for the day? I love that you guys all showed up and are open and having some fun. This is fun for me. So, Rachel, is there anything you want to bring up? Sean, does your pup want to share anything?
Holy cow, she's a handful. I'm at home on dog duty, and my 6'2" wife, who will roll her eyes if she pees anywhere on my guard, I'm very triggered by. So I'm basically trying to monitor her and the conversation at the same time. Yeah, this is a fascinating conversation. And, you know, one of the questions you asked, or one of the things you said was, what do you know, what kind of clientele you're looking for, or, you know, and I realized that I'm not going to be a reader. And someone said something recently. It was like, you're a 5. It's not your job to teach people human design. And I always kind of felt like it was my job. And I know now I would suck at it because I'd be all over the place. So I'm much more a conduit to introducing people to it, possibly, as in, what the fuck is going on with that guy? He seems happy. I'll ask some questions. And or do I refer people to people once they've got the bug? And I kind of lately keep thinking I'm either Willy Wonka or the Wizard of Oz. Like, can't show what's behind the curtain, but need to kind of introduce it in a colorful way. Willy Wonka used chocolate. I think I'm using sound. Sound seems to be part of my story, and the opportunities and people I'm meeting lately all are in that space. And so there's something going on there. I haven't quite figured it out. I need to pay the bills, but I know it's kind of finding me. And that's something I heard recently too. I think his name is Orion Ohev. He was talking about, you don't try to be your purpose finds you. Like, so I'm, you know, I keep reading about my purpose and going, oh, my strategic mind is trying to get there. And that's where I keep messing it up. So I'm basically letting it find me. And it's weird because I'm not going to have a typical consulting practice. I know I'm a crisis manager. I think that's I keep bringing in when nobody else can solve the problem, I probably can. And if I don't have anybody else's problems to solve, I create my own. And so that's the part I'm basically not doing anymore. I'm just waiting to respond. Yeah, I know I'm meeting with Katerina, I think next week. She's going to come on my podcast. And I think that's kind of what I'm there to do, is have a conversation and let people find her. And you know, Timothy, I keep pushing you to join me. Because I think there's a lot of adults that have ADHD or autism, and like, I had no idea, but it's clear that I would have been diagnosed. And when I find the time to actually do little tests, I'm always off the charts. I even know in town, one client we used to have, the woman there apparently used to refer to me as ADHD boy. And I never understood what that meant. And I didn't take it offensive, because she was also absolutely cross-planning, like literally most useless person on the job, sucking up our tax dollars, resisting change when I was brought in to help. So of course I ignored what she said, because she's part of the problem. But and today, if I got to speak with her, I would hit her right between the eyes, and then she wouldn't like it. So that's kind of my job as a Sphinx, is to wake people up. So yeah. I understand. Yeah. So I rammed, but
thank you. Awesome. And what I would say, Sean, around the purpose is already working through us all the time, right from the very moment that we're born. It's just the layers of the not self, or like the conditioning that gets in the way. So it's always available. It's always there. Not something that you have to seek or that has to find you. You are already it. And now you just get to fulfill it, because you are already it.
Yeah, so I'm finding. I'm learning to trust in that.
Yeah.
She also just honked up about a pound of dog food, so I need to go deal with that. Especially before my wife.
Awesome. Yeah, and there's lots of frequency seems to be there's deep connection in the people that I'm talking to. You guys here in the mentorship group as well, around frequency. So it's fun to watch. So Rachel, you've been in the background. I don't know if you can pop in or share anything before we close up for the day. Is there anything that you want to converse about?
Sorry, I know it's been a horrible activity day for me on multiple levels. Not really. I mean, we're past close time, but today's actually the first day of spring. So happy spring equinox, everybody. This is the day, one of the days of the year where it's equal daylight and nighttime. And then after today, the light is going to increase all the way until the summer solstice, where it'll be the greatest difference of sunlight to night in summer, and then another equinox in fall. So for so that's right on theme for what we're talking about today with the channel of initiation. And so I just think also a big deal that's going to be happening transit wise shortly is Neptune's finally going to leave gate 36, thank God, hallelujah, and go gate 25. I don't know about how but I think it's actually exalted in the time of that gate, so we'll see what's going to happen. That's going to be at the same time that the North Node is still in 51 for a month. So from April 10th all the way till May 10th, we're going to have the transit globally of Neptune exalted in the first line of 25 and the North Node in 51.1. So I'm excited to see what that is going to bring. And then within that same time frame, what else is going to transit big time is going to be Pluto's transit out of gate into on 4/11. Pluto goes to gate 41.1. So really a hot month in April for like outer planet movements. Some big deals, because those things are the two slowest planets and they don't move very often. So yeah, those would be my major like be on the lookout bolos for the for the month.
Awesome. And just a friendly reminder, always come back to your decision making, and use these transits as wisdom, and don't let them drag you around the wheel, kicking and screaming or pulling out your hair. Go back to your center, go back to your monopole, make decisions from that very centered space. We do have a couple more comments here, so I'll just show them for you guys, and you can are the final throws of the cross of planning attempting to disguise, thwart, mimic, and claim human evolution, social distancing as noted? I would say that the cross of planning is definitely going to do everything in its power to not give up its power. That's what I think. I think that it is scared, to abdicate its authority. And the more people like us get together in groups, and recognize our own authorities, and as human design permeates out into the consciousness field and people are taking back their authority every single day, that is being noticed. And the cross of planning is going away. It's going to crumble. It's going to move on, and it is what it is. There's, again, as Ra would say, there is no choice. It's the evolution is happening, whether they like it or not. But I think that they will do anything. They will kick and scream as much as they want to, but we're taking back our authority, and I think that's the beautiful aspect of it. Hey, Summer. And we have one more comment here. Love the mention early. I have plenty to say, but I also need so much time to rest and be nonverbal. Still learning the balance. Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Excellent. And if there's anyone that you want to connect with, all their information is in the description below as well. So, yeah. Awesome. All right, guys. So we are like on an hour and a half almost. So love it. Appreciate everybody's contribution. Again, if you want to connect with anyone, information is in the description. And as well, we meet in our mentorship. We do that 6 times a month, where we play in charts, we build businesses, we play in the human design terminology, we play in gene keys. Tim brings his information around birth names. As you can see, we have lots of astrologers here as well. So, if that's something that's interesting for anybody, to come into a mentorship and just be in a group of very humble, conscientious human beings that are just here to, shift our own internal dialogue so that our worlds shift. Awesome. All right. Any parting words? Everybody's okay? Everybody feels complete? Everybody's good? Awesome. Okay.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you to everyone that was present, and I will press the end stream button now.